Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back from your 8 weeks of taxpayer-funded vacation. It's good to see you, and I hope
I'm going to interrupt you.
Republicans
I'm going to interrupt you, please. I am sick and tired of hearing you all say we had an 8-week vacation.
That's exactly what happened.
Republican patriotism is a special thing. It's special in the way that's meant to be derisive. It's a distortion. It's a perversion of what actual patriotism is. Sean Duffy is the Secretary of Transportation, former reality star on MTV, Real Rules, Road Rules, Real World, whatever. He and his dopey wife. That's how they came to fame, and then they switched, and Fox News brought them on to be commentators and anchors. It's just a shit show. And now, because Donald Trump himself is a reality TV game show host, he sees these people through the lens of, oh, this is talent, this is ability. Oh, he can talk on Fox News? Of course he can be the transportation secretary. As planes fall out of the sky on an almost weekly basis. Planes colliding with helicopters here in Washington, D.C. Dozens and dozens and dozens of people lost their lives. Dozens and dozens and dozens of families inextricably destroyed. Carry that trauma with them forever. Because they gutted the budget. They fired federal workers. Now they shut down the government. And these air traffic controllers haven't been getting paid. And some of them were like, look, I can't do it. Imagine this. You got a woman who's an air traffic controller, and her husband also has a job. Her husband doesn't work for the federal government, so he's still getting a paycheck. And they got 2 kids that are in daycare. How are they going to pay for that daycare with one of the incomes taken away? What they would do is stop sending the kids to daycare until the government shutdown ended, and have the mom, the air traffic controller, stay home with the kids. Maybe we'll see. I don't know, right? We could switch genders. It doesn't matter. But to Republicans, to Donald Trump, and to his transportation secretary, the reality TV show MTV dipshit Sean Duffy, that's unpatriotic to work and not be paid. To work in a highly stressful job where lives, hundreds, if not thousands, if not tens of thousands of lives are on the line, and you're not getting paid. It's unpatriotic to not do your job. What? Watch him say that here, and we'll break it down on the other side.
The president's also talked about penalizing some of these air traffic controllers who took sick time. So can you talk about what that plan would look like there?
Well, my concern is for those air traffic controllers who, before they missed a paycheck, and we were in the shutdown, they decided on a continual basis not to show up for work. They don't know how long the shutdown was going to be. They hadn't missed a pay period, and they didn't come to work. I'm concerned about those controllers. I'm concerned about their dedication. I'm concerned about their patriotism. And so we haven't made a decision, but we are going to look at those controllers who continually made the decision not to show up for work. And again, we have to look at the data. I would just tell you, I'm trying to bring more air traffic controllers in. I'm not trying to take air traffic controllers out. But if we have controllers who systemically weren't doing their job, we will take action.
One, patriotism isn't a prerequisite for employment, first of all. And even if it were, whose flavor of patriotism are we going to use? Whose? Because I would say it's unpatriotic to not force the government to reopen, to not make our federal workers whole and paid for the work, to pay for their labor. Working for free isn't patriotic. So whose version of patriotism is the requirement for employment? Again, it's patriotic to have hungry children. To Sean Duffy and Donald Trump, it's patriotic to have unpaid bills. Doesn't seem like patriotism to me. Patriotism is a love of country, a love sometimes that requires criticism. because your country's not going to get better if you don't criticize, if you don't correct the things that are wrong. And you're not even going to identify the things that are wrong if you don't criticize. That's what patriotism is. And I believe my country, my Constitution, is strong enough to withstand the barbs of criticism. Not Sean Duffy, though. To him, America is weak. Our Constitution is weak because it can't withstand criticism. It can't withstand people staying home, calling in sick when they're not being paid for their labor. Speaking of not getting paid for your labor, well, speaking of getting paid while you're on an 8-week vacation, the House of Representatives, they are just back now that the government has reopened because of the Senate. They're back at work. Listen, in a Congress filled with Chuck Schumers, Bia Yasmin Ansari. I had the opportunity to sit down with her a few months ago when David Pakman and I went to the United States Capitol and interviewed a few members of Congress. She was one of them. And I was impressed. I was very impressed by her passion, by her heart. She seems like a good and decent person who does have the best interest of her constituency and by extension, the American people in her heart. And she, like I said, in a Congress filled with Chuck Schumers, be her. Watch this as she takes down Virginia Woolf, you know, the cross-eyed lady who screamed "shut up" at people when they were asking questions of Mike Johnson. She is a ghoul, to be sure, and they had a back and forth. And we need this energy to be brought to bear against the Republican Party in the halls of Congress, in the meeting rooms, in the committee hearings. This is what we need. Watch this.
Thank you, Ms. Bonamici. Ms. Ansari, you're recognized.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Welcome back from your 8 weeks of taxpayer-funded vacation. It's good to see you, and I hope
I'm going to interrupt you.
Republicans
I'm going to
enjoy-
interrupt you, please. I am sick and tired of hearing you all say we had an 8-week vacation.
That's exactly what happened.
I worked every day. I don't know about you, but I don't want to hear
every single
another
day as
soul
well. We all worked
say
every
that.
single day, and that's exactly what happened with Speaker Mike Johnson.
You're recognized.
I hope that you all enjoyed yourselves while American families looked at their letters from their health insurance companies, terrified that their insurance premiums were going to double or triple while the House was out of session for 53 days. That is unacceptable, Madam Chair.
I'm sick and tired. Nobody cares what you're sick and tired about. I could maybe fill a matchbox with the concern that I have for you being sick and tired, Virginia Foxx. You are a high priestess in the cult of Donald Trump. Your entire existence in Congress is to cover for credibly accused rapists of children, to cover for Donald Trump's connections to Jeffrey Epstein. So you can pipe down about what you're sick and tired about. The American people are sick and tired of a dysfunctional government. We're sick and tired of this fascistic attempt of Donald Trump to destroy the country. We're sick and tired of seeing masked secret police kidnapping citizens off the streets of America, brutalizing immigrant populations in this country. We're sick of that. What you're sick and tired about doesn't rate, sister, at all. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can certainly have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollemore.com. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Again, be a Congresswoman Ansari, not a Chuck Schumer. Be genuine. Take care of one another.